Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my wonderful and beautiful little lovelies out there. And how I love you all, so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delish. And a laugh is treating you most deliciously. Once again, I wasn't even going to do it anyway. These are all important because these are situations that some problems that, let's just say, some in the world are experiencing right now, my delicious little babies, okay? So there's that, and there's something else I want to talk about, but I wasn't even once again going to do a video today, okay? So first of all, my delicious little baby. So, and I hope, sorry, that wherever you are in the world, that life is treating you most deliciously. Okay, my little beautifuls. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? So it's 5 to 3 in an hour-old afternoon. My delicious little baby's on the 25th of June 2026. Okay, now then, so let's start, shall we? So there is a it's a rather severe condition, actually, my delicious little babies, and it's called Guillain-Barré. Okay, my delicious little babies, I'll just spell that for you. Guillain. Guillain. Yeah, it's Guillain Barré. Barre. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now, um, I've been reading up some while I was just having my lunch. Okay, my delicious little babies today outside, and I was reading up on this. Okay, now the best thing to do is to go on quack quack go. Okay, my delicious little babies. Should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, and by the way, thank you, to anybody for any views, for any likes, to the occasional comments, my delicious little babies. Okay, because everybody knows that nobody really listens to my videos, but I'm not concerned with this. What I'm more concerned about is just getting this out right now. Okay, but thank you to whoever you are who passes my channel, okay, and for putting a like. Okay, now with this Guillain bar, okay, my delicious baby, so I must tick this off. There are some good ways that you can help this situation, and how you can do this um, would be with what's called lion's mane, which, for many, they will know about this. Um, Eastern, what's it called? It's called Eastern something. Anyway, and it's called Usnea. I'll spell it for you. Usnea. Okay, it's called Eastern. Anyway. I should have wrote it, the other part down, my delicious babies. It's like it's a woman who puts she's got a PhD, and she puts these ingredients together, and it's called Eastern something. Anyway, Usnea. Okay, my delicious babies. And elderberry is also very good. Now, I read on another website, okay, and I had a feeling that it was something like this, okay. Um, the reason why I haven't wrote down a particular one, like I just said, it's better to quack quack go it. Okay, my delicious little babies. I try not to look at the obvious, like the NHS and things like this now, then, because you're not really going to get the truth, are you, my delicious babies? So let's just face it now. Sometimes you have to look at other. Do you know what I mean? You just got to have a little look, okay? And I have. Now, it appears that this was first was it recognised 1916. Okay, so then I go on to another website, okay, and this other website mentions to do with, like, is it 1950s or something, just going over the top. So anyway, it's to do with polio. But of course, then I swung over to another website because it's explaining everything, my delicious little babies, okay, and now there seems to be an issue with who believes what, because there are some who believe that this is due to vaccines. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I would have let's just say, been inclined to agree with that one and polio. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay, because I have known, well, there was one actually who I knew many years ago who had a peripheral neuropath. Now, you know, that's to do with like a muscle wasting. Okay, my delicious little babies, and usually it's the well, in a lot of cases, you know, they like to do with the esophagus, so there's a problem with eating. So then, therefore, you know, you need to use a peg, okay, to receive one's food. Okay, my delicious little babies, however, you know, you can drink beverages such as, you know, a bit of tea, or, you know, somebody wants to drink a bit of coffee. Anyway, I'm not even going to go into that with coffee. If you was to listen to everything that everybody said, okay, these so-called flipping health freaks, there's millions of them all over the flipping internet. You wouldn't eat anything, you wouldn't drink anything, okay? So I don't even want to go there. I'm just saying that if somebody wants a beverage, or maybe a juice, or maybe a glass of water, then that is fine. But they seem to struggle with the eating bit with a peripheral neuropath, okay? With the Ghislaine, it hits all the nerves, okay? And, you know, and it can be very painful. You know, you have the numbing of the fingers as well, and tingling. You know, it's really not a very good to have any of these sorts of conditions. But like I said, some things now you do not see straight away. Sometimes it takes a while to come out, you know, to show the full effect, shall we say. So there are things that can be done, okay, but usually along with that comes other things. Okay, my delicious little babies, so then there's other conditions. You know, I mean, it's just so sad for anybody who's having to live through this. Because nobody should they? You know, when you're born, you know, you're born beautiful and, you know, not in that way with anybody or anything. But you're born beautiful and pure. Well, you should be. You know, but say if, I don't know, if mummies, daddies, whatever, you know, if they've been injected or whatever, you know what I mean? Then, of course, you know, it just goes on and on. Do you know what I mean? I'm just going to leave it like that. But yeah, very interesting to listen to about that. Now, me personally, I'd not heard about Ghislaine Barr. I don't only, heard of peripheral neuropath. Okay, but like I say, I knew somebody many years ago with it. Okay, so anyway, and of course, you know, they said that even at that time it was rather rare. But we're hearing a lot about what do they call it? Autoimmune. You know, there's a lot of this being thrown around, autoimmune, and it has been for some years. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay. And there's a dear, lovely dear couple who I used to know as well when I used to drop my daughters off to school. And I used to go and walk my beautiful little Airsie, and sometimes I used to see them, you know, as well, you know, before I was, you know, they used to take a walk around this large park. And anyway, the point of the matter is, my delicious little babies, is that they even said, you know, I mean, this poor gentleman, bless him, I mean, he was thriving and everything, then all of a sudden he got an auto, you know, I mean, then he was in a wheelchair, electric wheelchair, you know, and he was feeling very sorry for his dear wife, his wife, you know, who was walking alongside him, you know, so he could get some fresh air. You know, and he says, you know, he says, she works so hard to look after me. He said, it's not so long ago. He said, there was nothing wrong with me. Do you see what I'm saying, Marge? So how can somebody go from that to that anyway? And that's going back many years ago, my delicious babies. Now then, next one. So this one here, this is a website on Quack Quack Go Again. Quack Quack. And I wrote this one down, okay, because there's a lot to do with the going back to the Ghislaine Barr for a moment, there's a lot to do with that, okay? So it's a lot of information to take in. So it's good to maybe go on one's website, then go on another, then go on another, just to sort of I call it cross-stitch, you know, cross-check, cross-stitch, you know what I mean? My delicious little babies, okay? And see what your thoughts are. This one here, I have wrote down, it's called Sakra, which is spelled, I'll spell it for you, Sakra, a World Hospital. Okay, Marslish babies with her spaces. So it's Sakra World Hospital, okay? Now, what is this to do with? All you have to type in, okay, if you wanted to, would just be Sakra World Hospital and then a space vertigo. Spelt, I'll spell it for you, Vertigo. Now, there's a lot of this as well, Marslish babies, which is vertigo. Okay, so, you know, I'm sure that you will know what that means, Marslish babies. You know, you start to go dizzy and everything, okay? Now, according to this, I remember decades ago when I was very young, I was very little, wee young lass. My dear dad was suffering of vertigo as well. So this is not something new that I haven't heard of, okay? Because I remember this from many decades ago, okay?